What is up, guys? Rick Cacus here, and I wanted to talk to you today about shotguns. Now, shotguns in Destiny is a pretty interesting topic because it's almost universally considered that some of the shotguns, and the Fallman is definitely the Fellwinter, some of the shotguns like the Fellwinter, they shoot just a little bit too far. Some of the ranges you can snipe guys with the Fellwinter and the Matador and the Party Crasher and all those type of guns are ridiculous. It's just a little bit too far, and they should be rained down and brought down to earth by a certain factor. Now, the funny thing is, but when I ask you, if I said to you guys, okay, are all shotguns overpowered? You would answer, well, no, it's really only the few that I've already mentioned. It's like the Fellwinter, the Party Crasher, the Judgment, the Matador. Those are the real problems. It's not stuff like the Dry Rot. The Dry Rot is not running around massacring the Crucible. The Invective isn't. The Fourth Horseman isn't. It's really just the extremely high impact, maximum range shotguns, again, like the Fellwinter. Now, before I talk about the potential ways to fix and potentially nerf these guns, I want to talk about how to make the Crucible more balanced without even touching these guns. By not nerfing them, you can still reduce their complete overuse right now. One of the factors why those guns are everywhere, why if someone is using a shotgun, it's almost always one of the shotguns I just mentioned. And that is, there is really no reason to use any shotgun aside from the very high impact, high range shotguns. Well, why is that? Well, if you look at some of the other shotguns, there's different categories of shotguns, and there is shotguns that are set up to, you'd think, be shotguns that are able to have extremely high rate of fires, that are very stable. And if you look at a lot of other first-person shooters, those are how shotguns are balanced. For example, in Call of Duty, we always have, the big one-banger shotgun, the pump-action shotgun that you can get one shot, but then you have to pump it, and it often does the most damage. But then there's the shotguns like the AA-12s, the Sagas, the ones that can go even fully automatic, and those are balanced for the fact that yes, the pump-action shotguns are very powerful, can kill at a further range, but God forbid if you miss, or if I walk into a room with an AA-12 like a fully auto shotgun and no one is looking, I can kill all 6 people if they aren't looking because the amount of lead sprayed is insane. But that factor isn't carried over in Destiny. When you look at the lower impact, higher rate of fire shotguns, their stability is nowhere near high enough to give them an advantage. When I'm using something like the Invective or just like a high rate of fire shotgun, if I was to go full auto with one of those low impact, high rate of fire shotguns, I would be straight up. If I went full auto and expended the entire magazine, I would be facing 90 degrees straight up into the air. So, yes, they can get a quicker follow-up shot, but you often aren't able to, squeeze the trigger or fire as fast as possible and have a lot of accurate shots going on target. And that's why they just aren't competitive. You should be able to, with the high rate of fire shotguns like the Dry Rot, you should be able to roll that with full auto, and if I run into a room, I can squeeze the trigger and go bang, 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 all 3 shots perfectly on target, go to the next guy, bang, 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 get him again, and again, there's almost no recoil. There should be very easy to line up with the stability on someone's body. And again, right now there isn't. Even if you have a very high stability, like the Fourth Horseman, if you have like max stability, and you hold the trigger, it's still all over the place. And that isn't good because it means that there's no incentive, there's no reason to use anything but, again, the big one-bangers like the Fellwinter, because there's no discernible advantage over the lower impact shotguns. So I think if Bungie went in and made it so that some of the lower impact shotguns had discernible advantages, had extremely high stabilities so that you could legitimately squeeze a trigger and get multiple shots on the same guy without going straight up into air, that would be a discernible advantage. We can also have a discernible advantage with some of the lower range shotguns. You can have lower range, but why not make some of the shotguns have a bigger hitbox, like a bigger circle in the middle of your screen? So the pellets would go out even wider, so you could potentially get, 2 guys with one shot, and it would shoot more pellets, but it wouldn't do as much range. It wouldn't have as much range as something like the Fellwinter. So again, that's something where you have a discernible advantage. This one has a wider spread, more pellets. I can get 3 guys with one shot, but it lacks the range. How the shotguns are balanced right now, again, there's no discernible advantage by using any of the shotguns that aren't one of the heavy hitters, and that's one of the huge problems. Another problem is that there really isn't any competition for the heavy hitter shotguns anymore from fusion rifles. Fusion rifles were nerfed at the same time auto rifles were neutered, and it made it so that the fusion rifles were a little bit, it kind of cut back on their accuracy and made the spread a little bit wider. And I'm not sure if they should go back to the old fusion rifles, because right now I never see fusion rifles. Just do not see them in PvP. And I think the reason for that is a combination of the nerf I just mentioned. You maybe didn't need to nerf fusion rifles at the time, so maybe a slight buff back to what they were is necessary. But it's also just because the one banger, like the heavy hitter shotguns, are so good. They can reach, like the Fellwinter can reach ranges that fusion rifles used to be, like that was their prime range. And the problem also lies within blink. People argue till the cows come home which class is overpowered. I hear it all. People say Warlock is overpowered, Hunter is overpowered, Titan is overpowered. Again, I hear it all. Everyone has their reasons. But the fact is, when you have a monumental movement advantage like blink, that is an insane advantage. That is unbelievably advantageous that you can blink closer to someone. And the fact that this is combined with the extremely powerful long-range shotguns, it means that basically this scenario plays out all the time. If I have a fusion rifle, right, and someone is at the prime distance for a fusion rifle, then they blink closer to me, my advantage is completely lost, and I am to their advantage because they have a Fellwinter, and I am now in their perfect range. And they can probably blink closer to me and shoot me before I have time to charge my fusion rifle. And that is basically the main reason why fusion rifles have completely fallen out of usefulness, is because there's no point. You can close the distance extremely fast with things like mainly blink, but also just sliding. And so when you get within that range, which is extremely far because of the heavy hitter shotguns, you're just done. And there's no reason the fusion rifles don't have a discernible advantage over the heavy hitter shotguns. So summing up what I just said, the ways to help get rid of the overuse of the heavy hitter shotguns without even touching the heavy hitter shotguns is to give some discernible advantage to the other classes of shotguns. Have some shotguns with wider spreads, more pellets, but less range. Have the fast shooting shotguns actually have high enough stability that they can actually stay on target. Have even higher rate of fires than you've ever seen before. Again, give people reason to use other shotguns. With fusion rifles, they can definitely use a little bit of the buff, to maybe just take away the nerf that Bungie introduced, lowering their accuracy, so they can actually compete at their prime ranges. And these are all things that would definitely help and lower the use of the heavy hitter shotguns. But I still think you do need to address how powerful and how insane these shotguns are. Now, one of the things that you could possibly do, and I think Triple Rec tweeted this, is he said to remove shot package and rangefinder as perks. Now, I think this would definitely be effective. This would cut down at the insane ranges that you see, the Fellwinter snipe at. But here's the problem. There's too many questions left unanswered by that statement. So I have a Fellwinter with shot package personally. So what happens if this is introduced? Is my shot package just removed? Do I have no more shot package at all and just 0 perks? Is my perk replaced by something? If so, what? There's a lot of unanswered questions. And replacing, like going into the code and replacing a perk sounds like something very difficult to do. And you've got to remember we're dealing with Bungie here. And, this is the same company that took 6 months to fix the heavy ammo glitch. So I don't think getting them to completely change the perk layouts is going to be the most practical thing to ask from them. So we got to come up with a simpler solution, and I think that solution is lowering the impact. Just like how the shotguns have a range maximum. You know, the shotgun range can only go up to a certain point. And this point, like, is the same. That's why the Fellwinter, the Matador, the Party Crasher, they all have the exact same range because they all reach the main range maximum. Now, you might think that, well, if you're worried about range, why don't you just lower the range? The problem is some of the other shotguns, I know you got, probably a lot of you haven't even used some of the other shotguns, but some of the other shotguns, like something like the Invective, they don't have as high of impacts, but they rely on their higher, like they can still get to the range maximum and be decently competitive. I think if you take the Fellwinter's impact as it is now and cut it down to about 3/4, so cut out 1/4 of its damage, and then make that the new impact maximum so that shotguns can never go past that impact, I think that would really rain down some of the insane snipes you're seeing. It would still make those guns very, very good. It would still make them able to snipe, especially since they would still have stuff like shot package and rangefinder, but it would just kind of bring them down to earth and again really help fusion rifles start to be competitive again, because again right now they're nowhere on the Crucible, and you're missing out on 1/3 of the secondaries in the game really by not being able to use fusion rifles. So I think simplest form is gotta rain down that impact, rain down the impact of the shotguns, create a new impact maximum just like the range maximum to make sure the shotguns aren't sniping at ridiculous distances. But on top of that, Bungie, again, please make sure to do some of the stuff I had said before. Give people a reason to use the other shotguns that aren't just good at one-shot kills. And also a buff to fusion rifles might be necessary. Those are my opinions, but what do you guys think? Leave in the comments how you think shotguns should be balanced, if at all. That's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Doing so will let you see Destiny content similar to this. My Twitch channel and Twitter are both linked in the description of this video. So check out my Twitter if you want to get in touch with me, and check out my Twitch if you want to see my ramblings live. Again, I hope you enjoy, and as always, have a good day.